into it.
I'll kick it off, yes. Very welcome to our call, Gerd Leonhard. It's such a pleasure speaking to you. My name is Rita Isiba. I'm really, really delighted having a moment with you and just getting a little bit of some of your insights and knowledges, which you're going to elaborate more on the upcoming Future Talk. Now, there's one particular question that has always bugged me, and I would like to know, how do you set about deciding what are the most pressing questions of the future?
Yes, well, I always say speaking about the future is really more of an art than a science. I think if you're a scientist, then it's probably more of a science. But I come from the art background. I used to be a musician and producer. I studied humanities and philosophy, and then I went into the tech business. But my view really is it's all about intuition and imagination and what we call foresight. So basically, as I go along, I speak to many, many people, and I read many things, and I do a lot of research. But basically, I do 95% of my work is to not deal with things that are like operational here right now, except for my own, of course, which is the reverse of the clients. Most of my clients are 150% focused on what they do now. And they don't have time to look even at next year, never mind 5 years, right? So I reverse this, and as I'm collecting information, it's mostly about observation. And then I try to, I develop kind of a gut feeling about things. Like, I said in 1999, music is going to move into the cloud. And we're going to just hit a button and the music plays, And that wasn't hard to observe then, but it took a lot longer than you've thought. So basically, that's my process. And I develop intuition and hunches. They're not predictions. I don't do predictions. But I have pretty good hunches on practical things like the end of oil. We're looking at the end of oil roughly in 10 years. That's one of my hunches. That's, I think many people would agree with by now. And that's kind of the work that I do.
Very interesting. Now, I was wondering if you have that ability to tell what could be possibly the new trend in the future, what would it be in the field of education?
Well, I think it's quite clear. And again, it doesn't take magic powers to see this. Is machines are getting intelligent, right? I wouldn't say intelligent like humans. Pretty far from it, actually. We have yet to find a machine, for example, that drives a car like a human. That doesn't exist. We have machines that drives cars, but not like a human.
Yeah, we don't have machines that can replace teachers either.
Yeah, we don't have machines really intelligent, but we have smart machines. So basically what's happening all around us is machines are going to do the work that does not require human ingenuity and what I call in my book, the androrhythms, the human things, emotions, understanding, reading between the lines. Humans are not machines, right? At least that's what I keep saying. So we do things quite differently. In fact, there's this thing called the Moravec paradox, which says that whatever is easy for a computer is hard for a human, and vice versa, right?
Yeah,
So
I agree.
what that means for education, basically in the next 10 years, computers will learn pretty much anything that is routine, logic, numbers, facts, and figures, anything like low-level financial advice, working in a call center, rebooking a flight, translating languages, understanding images, but not if it requires sort of connected intelligence, like deduction, right?
Yes.
Or like, you meet a person and in zero point 0.4 seconds, you can estimate that person is going to be a good fit or a threat, or without saying a single thing. And computers don't do that. So basically, any routine will be done by machines, and that means for education, we should really stop learning routines.
Yes, I think a lot
And
of people will embrace that. You're absolutely right.
yes, and this idea of downloading information and having it around for later. Basically, education is going to be about creating character now, because the only job that we have in the future is to be human. Every other job can be done by a machine.
How
So
can
if
this be transformed into the curriculum, however?
well, I
You're
think
talking about social skills here, aren't you?
yes, well, the curriculum of education has always been larger than just a curriculum of an agenda item like math or English or history. It's basically personality development, right? And if we're looking at the future of work, we can say that probably most people in the future will not have regular jobs. They will be in the gig economy. That's going to take much longer here in Switzerland. They will work on the cloud. They will make their own job. And in 20 years, we may only work 2 or 3 hours a day because, again, the computers will do the grunt work, right? So
Yes.
why do we want to work more? Right now, we're actually working more because of technology.
Yes.
but
Ironic.
but that's going to change in the future. So I think the curriculum has to change to go back to the humanities. Um, at the same time, of course, technology is always going to be a major factor. So understanding technology, science, engineering is always going to be good.
Mhm.
But it will not save the day as far as your job is concerned, unless you're really brilliant at it. So I think that's really what's happening. So humanities, that means ethics, design, understanding, negotiation, philosophy, art, creation, music, sports.
Mhm.
It means all that stuff that creates people rather than robots.
You mentioned humanities. That brings me on to this article you wrote on how all paths must lead to collective human flourishing. What do you actually mean by that?
Well, human flourishing in the widest sense, let's say the sense of Dalai Lama also in the widest possible sense, not in the sense of wanting to define happiness, but
Mhm.
um, human flourishing means, okay, self-realization, quest for happiness, whatever that means, uh, a sort of minimum level of comfort, right?
Mhm.
Uh, it means a minimum level of freedom of a sort. And I think on a global level, we can say that this kind of gross national happiness index, uh,
Yes.
it's not just GDP or money, it's a wider sense, right? So flourishing means that you are able to make the next step and that you have the means to sustain yourself and you have rights, right?
Mhm.
And this is what everybody is striving for, whether you're a Muslim or not, or a Christian, or it doesn't matter, right?
Mhm.
I think in the end, we have the same agenda there, pretty much on the global scale as far as the basics are concerned.
I understand.
Um, and currently we have a challenge in that we have developed an economic system that has left everything out except for profit growth and jobs and economics. It's all about economics.
Right
And,
now,
and,
yes.
and yeah, and that clearly will not work because if we teach our kids to just look at economics, they will definitely not have a job in the future because,
Mm.
that's what machines do.
I see. I haven't thought about that connection yet. Now, you say that. I also picked up on the fact that you prepare executives for uncertainty. We're talking about economics here. That's what executives live by. Can you elaborate a little bit on what your executive program, how it differentiates from other change management programs?
Yeah, I always say the future is a mindset. It's not a time frame. So the future has to exist in your mind so that you're ready to make changes. If you're looking at the most powerful people in business today, that it's most of the tech companies, right? So it's Jeff Bezos, it's Tim Cook, it's CEO of Apple. It's all people who are able to say, well, this is the reality today, but tomorrow there's another reality
Hmm.
and we're going to be agile enough to jump on it, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Elon Musk said, you know what, I don't care what Mercedes-Benz has done with their diesel engines. We're not going to need diesel engines. We're going to need software. We're going to need batteries. And he reinvents the entire car industry with just that simple thought, right?
Agreed.
And so this is the future mindset. And a mindset is not something that you download on the App Store.
Hmm.
A mindset is something you develop, or most people already have, but it's dumbed down. I think Buckminster Fuller once said, the futurist, the famous engineer and futurist, he said that we have a habit of making a de-genius effect on people. So we take their genius out by education rather than amplifying it, right?
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
and this is really what I'm doing with my Future Ready executive program, is to find that genius and
Very
to unleash
exciting.
it.
I understand. So this program will be available for executives across the globe, I presume.
Yeah, it's already running, and now of course it's virtual, which is
Hmm.
vastly more efficient, but also not as
Absolutely.
easy because again, efficiency is good for machines, but for humans, it's actually mostly about not being so efficient. I mean, we like efficient things, but basically what goes on between humans is extremely efficient, but it cannot be done like through the camera,
Yes, the
So
emotions are missing.
yeah, we don't get the same, we are not fed by video or by data. We're fed by emotions.
Do you think this is going to affect us people in the long run for having lack of social contact?
I think it's a temporary lapse, and we will continue to be digital, but when we can, we're going to jump on the first opportunity we get for a good hug and a meeting. I mean, I think basically what's happening is it's quite clear. Like education is, there's so many things you can do online, right? But most of that is on a different level of the thinking, and when you're actually together and you have an experience together, it beats everything else, but it all comes together, right? So we can have a virtual meeting, we can watch a movie, and then when we get together, it's like the culmination of all of that stuff. And that's going to come back, I'm sure. It may take a year or 2 years for that to come back, but this is ultimately a human effort.
Well, I feel sorry for the younger generations because I believe that this experience will definitely carry them for a long run. Now, talking about the youth, we've got an upcoming conference between the 4th and the 6th in which you'll be speaking, the Future
Right.
Talk, of which we're very excited about. And the center topics are going to be green education, STEAM, so STEM with arts in it. And along with that, we're also going to talk about artificial intelligence. Now, we're really excited that you are going to share your knowledge. Can you just touch very briefly on the things that you're going to talk about?
Yes, I'll try. Well, basically, first on the green thing, this is no longer sort of an optional or philosophical or altruistic discussion. Basically, we are going to switch to sustainability or we'll be switched off. That's what it comes down to.
That's strong.
Right, and that's our. I mean, it's like COVID. We reacted to COVID because, we were seeing that it was killing people, and now 1 million people are dead, and now we're doing emergency stuff because we are seeing it, right?
Yes.
And the next wave after COVID is climate change. So COVID is just a test run for climate change. We're going to see 100 million people dead in 20 years if we don't take action from climate change, right? And from the
Yes.
indirect causes of climate change. And the UN panel says, the UNPC says, roughly 400 million climate refugees in Europe, in 40 years. So it's further away, but basically the green thing is now a business plan, right? And this is why the Green New Deal in Europe and also now in America, hopefully, the Green New Deal is the only deal, because everything else is suicide. And this is what's already happening. And we're going to see significant measures here like carbon tax, the same price for carbon tax and for the airline ticket. Carbon tax on eating meat. Yeah, that's entirely feasible. I mean, I'm not much of a meat eater, but I guess I wouldn't pay it in that case. But anyway, so that's all going to happen. That's the green thing. The second one is intelligent machines. And there again, I would say that really the only fear I have on that right now is that machines that are smart are going to change our work, and we're not ready. So, we do a lot of routine work. All of us do.
Yes.
Like in some cases in the call center, 95% routine work.
Yes.
And when the machine takes 95% of your daily task, then you got to upgrade, I mean, if your job is 40% routine, you'll probably easily find other things you can do.
Correct.
Like, driving a taxi is not 100% routine. So a taxi driver would still have a job even when there's a robo driver. But a call center, no.
Same as a teacher. A teacher is not routine work, but being a surgeon could be routine.
Well, this is an interesting angle, actually. I think there's many components of jobs that are routine. For example, as a surgeon, you can have the suturing done by a robot already. And very soon as a dentist, you can have the machine do an implant, right? and that's already being done in Japan.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, yeah, but does it mean the doctor is going to be useless? No, the doctor moves up the food chain. So my main concern about intelligent machines is that we are distilling and leaving stuff to machines that we should know ourselves, like we see in Google Maps, for example. And ultimately, I think in 30 years, what people call the singularity, which is the point in time when one computer has all the mental capacity of every possible human, 10 billion at that time in one machine, right? And then we have a control issue, right? So
Oh,
that is the number one thing I'm worried. That's not a concern today because, most machines are as dumb as a toaster, as compared to a human.
mhm.
But then again, many humans make wrong decisions anyway, so they could also
Unfortunately.
be perceived to be rather stupid on that one. But so I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about why we should not fear technology, but embrace it within reason.
Okay.
So the biggest topic being too much of a good thing is probably a very bad thing. Best example is Facebook. Right?
Okay, so you're naming names.
Well, in the case of Facebook, it's a clear-cut case. It's a company that makes $165 million profit per day and is destroying our rights and democracy and privacy and pretty much anything else you can find, not by accident, but by product design. So,
Does that
right.
also
So,
include the other? Sorry, you want to?
yeah, go ahead.
No, because Facebook is not just a company; it's an empire, and it features even other software, or should I say social media networks like Instagram or even WhatsApp, which so many people use.
Sure,
Does
but
that?
the topic of Facebook really is one of dehumanization, right? So Facebook initially
Mm-hmm,
connected us, and it was good.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then it started using our data to sell more ads. So they have, like, I don't know, 5,000 people that do nothing but to figure out how to sell ads to us, right?
Yes,
And the whole thing has become a machine, a
yes,
dehumanized machine treating us like a data feed, right? And that's not new, except for it's very extreme now because you can use it to manipulate, right?
okay.
And so anyway, I'll talk about why I think a rehumanization is coming. So I call this the new human renaissance,
Mm-hmm.
which is the value of humans, not in the sense of the Anthropocene, like all human-centered, but in the sense of creating benefits for us and for the planet, of course, as well. So a new paradigm is emerging, which the American election will kind of point in the same direction, I hope. People, planet, purpose, prosperity, right? And that is finally going to kick off next year, and that will change everything we think about education because, yeah, what we used to do in education is just downloading stuff and then pulling it out. That's going to be useless. So we need to rethink how we do this.
Well, Gerd Leonhard, I can listen to you for hours. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
sharing your insights. Can you tell me where can we find you and learn more about your trends that you predict for the future?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on YouTube. I have my YouTube channel is Gerd, like my name, Gerd,
Hmm.
like gastrointestinal reflux disease, but short. So
Okay.
gerdtube.com, that's my YouTube channel, and my website is futuristgerd.com. Lots and lots of stuff for downloading, and of course I have a podcast on SoundCloud and Spotify, and my book, Technology versus Humanity, that you can find pretty much on any platform in 14 languages.
Excellent. We should include your sayings and predictions also into the national curriculum. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. See you there.
Yes. So we can cut here, I suppose,
Yeah, we
right?
cut here.
Okay, good.
Great.
I believe what they're going to do at the future, should I say, the world, the association, what they're going to do